Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the countdown to two-a-days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team in our August 19th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we're talking about the Forsan Buffaloes.
And this is a Forsan team, like a lot of teams in District 4-2A Division One. That returns a lot of their talent from last year's group. 21 of their 25 Lettermen returned from last year's 4-7 team, including 9 starters on both sides of the football. So a lot of experience back for this Buffaloes team. But some questions to answer, and we'll talk little bit about some of the biggest here in just a little bit.
All right, before we jump into those questions, we want to remind you folks, those of you who are enjoying these preseason videos from us, please hit the subscribe button. After that, hit like and hit share, won't you please? We appreciate it. All right, Dan. And with that, it's time to jump into the three key questions that we have about Forsan. Fire away. Number one.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a weird question for a team that returns 9 starters on both sides of the football and most of their Lettermen from last year. But the first question I have is about replacing one of the few players they did lose, and that's senior Hayden Bolin from last year's team, who was kind of a do-it-all guy on offense for him. Kind of started his career as a receiver, ended up playing some quarterback and doing a lot of running from that quarterback position, and kind of led a little bit of a resurgence at the end of last season for them, and kind of led them into the playoffs. So my question is, uh, who's going to step up and be playmakers for this Forsan team? Because Hayden Bolin was asked to carry a lot of that load on offense last year. He was a big cog in what they did production wise, and they've obviously got a lot of names who have been around for a while, and they've got some guys who produced it a little bit, produced at a relatively high level for them last year. But they're going to need a lot of those guys to step up this year, and I'm just kind of interested in seeing who are going to be some of the biggest ones for them this year.
Forsan is not the biggest team on the block. And I think that's going to be important. They're going to have to find ways to compensate for that. It's nice to have experience, but experience doesn't really isn't a good compensator for size and bulk, strength, all that. Um, Forsan is going to have to find it and a way to run, not only run the football, but to stop the other guy from running it at them. And I think that's going to be one of the huge keys for
Yeah.
the Buffs this year. If they find a way to run the ball and stop the run, we could be looking at a good football team with all the experience that they do have coming back. But it's going to start up front.
Yeah, and it's especially for this program because this is a program that has forever kind of prided itself on that physical running football defensive style. I mean, this is a team that has always been really physical, and that can be difficult to do when you don't have a whole lot of size up front. So they're gonna have to find some depth up front. They're gonna have to develop some size and figure out a way to block and get a push up front. So that's definitely a big question for them. My last one, we talked about experience when you return over 20 Lettermen at the Class 2A level. That's a really good number. 9 starters back on both sides of football is a great number at any level of football. So they have a lot of pieces who have done a lot of things for them. And my question's about this senior class. This is a really good, strong group of seniors. Some kids who have been in this program, some of them playing since they were, sophomores. A couple of them from even before that. So a lot of kids have been around this program for a long time, and I think that they've kind of had this year circled for that group, certainly their senior year where all these kids are together and have an opportunity to maybe do something special. So my question is just about from a leadership perspective, because they're going to have to develop depth from a 3-5 JV team from last year. They're gonna have to find some kids that can step up. Can this senior group kind of pull the best out of that group and kind of fill what few holes they have, and kind of provide leadership, kind of build some confidence, build some momentum, and get this team playing at its highest level. So it's going to be fun to see if Coach Casey Thompson can do that in his second year. He's a guy that's definitely going to bring the enthusiasm, definitely going to bring the energy, and this senior class, I think, will follow suit. So it's going to be exciting to see what they can accomplish.
All right, it's just about time to take a look at the schedule for Forsan in 2026. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we're adding 5 new teams to the Big Country Preps family this year. We're adding Mason, Seymour, Stanton, Hamilton, and Jacksboro to the mix. And to the players, the parents, and all the coaches of all these new schools that we're adding, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, we definitely are. It's going to be fun to cover those programs. We're excited about adding them to our coverage, and we hope that the fans of those programs are excited about our coverage of them. But it's going to be fun to add 5 new schools to the mix.
All right, let's take a look at the 2026 schedule for the Forsan Buffaloes. We'll start in the non-district portion. They will open with Kahoma on August 27th. That's a Thursday night game. That's going to be at Big Spring as per tradition. They play them there every year, and that's a huge rivalry for both of those teams. September 4th, a road date at Roscoe. September 11th, at Stanton. And then September 18th, Forsan will finally have a game on its home field against Sundown. And then they will dive right into district and a tough district opener, Dan.
Yeah, really a tough district stretch to open league play. They play their first district game on September 25th at Ozona, come back home on October 2nd to play Reagan County, and then travel to what should be a pretty substantially improved Ballinger team on the 9th of October before finally getting their open date on October 16th. They then wrap up their district schedule at home against Colorado City on the 23rd of October, on the road at Cristoval on the 30th of October, and then at home again against Sonora on November 6th. So this should be a fun district. This is one of those that anything can happen in this district.
Game of the year for Forsan in terms of importance. How do you see it? This is a tough district to say that,
Yeah, we've had
to
trouble
pick
with.
that was for everybody.
Yeah, I remember with when we started this with Ballinger in this district, I had no idea which game to go with because they were all so unpredictable, and it's kind of the way with Forsan too. It kind of depends on how good this Forsan team ends up being. I think we'll learn a lot about this Forsan team right off the bat at Ozona on the 25th of September. That's going to be a big game just in terms of finding out. That one I think will set the expectations for the rest of Forsan's district season. But I think we kind of went with that Reagan County game being a big one for for Colorado City last night. I think that Reagan County's going to, if I'm circling one game as the game of the year, I think that's probably going to be it for this Forsan team too. Because if you do drop that opener at Ozona, you definitely don't want to start 0-2, particularly with what should be an improved Ballinger team up next. Then you risk going into your open date 0-3 in league play, and that could be a problem. But if you can be competitive against Ozona and then perhaps beat Reagan County, that I mean, at that point, the possibilities are anything can happen in this district.
I agree with you entirely. I think that Reagan County game, if I mean they're likely going to be an underdog at Ozona, and if they don't pull that one off, that sets up a very important game against Reagan County to avoid an 0-2 start if they don't pull off the win at Ozona. The way I see it, that game is nobody wants to start 0-2 in a league like this because
No,
you're going to be up against it the rest of the year if you do. So
and
that Reagan County game is huge for Forsan,
and
I think.
we've been talking about it all week in this district though is like you really don't know what to expect from any of these teams. I mean, just in 2024, Reagan County was the class of that district. Went undefeated in league play, 9-2. Last year falls to 3-7. The same thing could happen with Ozona this year. They went 10-0 last year. They could fall back just because that's kind of how this district has worked. It's been very dependent upon who has the senior class. But in this year, you look at it and everybody's got a good group of seniors. So it's going to be this to me. This is going to be one of the more fun districts we have to follow. And I think Forsan, if they can play at the top of if they can reach their highest level, they have a chance to compete in this district for sure.
When we were talking in between segments. Um, this district's going to be a dog pile, man. It's going to be you're going to have teams that get upset, pull off upsets. I wouldn't be surprised to see all six after a couple 3 weeks, still all of them with a
Yeah.
shot at things, with a decent shot at things is what
Yeah.
I'm. That's what
And
I
we've
mean.
had we've
Yeah,
had several years where a 4-2 record ends up with a 3 or 4 way tie for first in this district.
yeah.
Literally, this is one where I mean every week's going to be fun to watch because you don't know what's going to happen with any of these matchups, and I think that makes for really from our perspective of watching it, it makes for a really fun follow.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Forsan Buffaloes. But before we do that, we want to remind you, August 19th, that's the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day that we release our annual preseason football preview, the most comprehensive look at Big Country football and teams that just surround the border of the Big Country of any media source that you're going to see.
Yes, if you are a fan of area high school football, you will definitely want to to hit the website on that day. There's going to be a ton of information. You will not want to miss it. In the meantime, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, and hope you come back tomorrow when we move to District 5 with the Anson Tigers here at BigCountryPreps.com.